I'm gonna wear you to the ball tonight. Put on your best dress tonight. I'm gonna fun you till it's broad daylight. Be on your best shape tonight. Though you don't suit those other guys, you suit me all right. Though you don't suit those other guys, you suit me fine. I'm gonna make you the talk of the town. No one will push you around. I'm gonna make you the talk of the town. No use wearing a frown. Though those other guys may put you down, I'm gonna let you wear my crown. Though those other guys may put you down, you wear my crown. You don't suit those other guys, you suit me all right. Though you don't suit those other guys, you suit me fine. I'm gonna wear you to the ball tonight. Put on your best dress tonight. I'm gonna fun you till it's broad daylight. Be on your best shape tonight. I'm gonna wear you to the ball tonight. Put on your best dress tonight.
She went from worldwide pop star sensation to a tragic cautionary tale, and now even more trouble has come about for Britney Spears. Sources telling us she was arrested overnight in California on suspicion of driving under the influence. According to Ventura County Sheriff's Office records, the Princess of Pop was released early this morning. For more, let's bring in our Alex Stone. Alex, it's been a rough haul for Britney Spears. What more do we know about this arrest?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Kira, our sources are saying that it was DUI. We just we were able to obtain dispatch audio that indicates that the call was for reckless driving, that somebody saw a black BMW that was weaving in and out of lanes. They say about to cause crashes, and then they moved in and they were able to pull her over at that point, and then the DUI arrest was made. Now, not the first time she's had contact with police. Years ago, she was involved in a hit and run. Most of those charges were later dropped. That went away. I want to read to you a statement now from her rep, and I'll read you these words right here. The rep saying this was an unfortunate incident that is completely inexcusable. Brittany is going to take the right steps and comply with the law, and hopefully it can be the first step in a long overdue change that needs to occur in Brittany's life. Hopefully she can get the help and support she needs during this difficult time. So it goes on to, you can see the words here, that she's going to spend time with her boys, that her loved ones are going to come up with a plan that they say is long overdue for success of her well-being. She is due in court on May 4th on these counts, assuming that they are going to be filed by the DA in Ventura County of DUI, but she was cited and released. She's not being held right now.
You know, Britney Spears has had her share of struggles in the past, for sure. We've been covering, this for years. She was placed under conservatorship of her father for many years before a court ruled in 2021 that she no longer needed that guidance. I mean, do we know anything more just about her life currently?
We don't, but there have been a number of cases that we have covered in recent years, or calls that have gone out to the Ventura County Sheriff's Department where she lives, where even fans have been worried about her as she's been posting all kinds of social media videos of dancing with knives and dancing around in erratic ways that family members apparently have been concerned, but even just her fans calling the sheriff's department and saying, hey, will you go do a welfare check? That you remember the conservatorship that you mentioned, that then went away, but there have been concerns. And often the sheriff's department has gone out and they've said that they have talked to her, that she has mentally been aware of what was going on, and that there was nothing that they could do. Now, from that statement we read a moment ago, it seems that there is concern about her well-being within her family and for her rep. But what her current state has been right now, we just don't know.
All right, Alex Stone, thank you.
This is day one of my husband doing Tai Chi workouts. This is day 21 of my husband.
Way in the digital age, and one Emmy Award-winning comedian opened a creative playground to give the next generation of industry leaders the tools they need to succeed.
This is a story you'll only see here on WVTM 13. In his exclusive interview with comedian Cat Williams, WVTM 13's Aaron Llewellyn spoke with the studio owner about his partnership with Miles College and lifting HBCU students as they climb.
Tucked away in Anniston is Fort McClellan. Known for its storied history and pivotal role in World War II, it's getting a new lease on life.
I didn't really think that McClellan was like on the radar. I mean, I saw the for sale signs, but I didn't know it was like on a national radar.
For months, there were rumors comedian and actor Cat Williams bought the former Army base to open a production hub.
Mi casa, su casa.
In an exclusive interview, Williams said the state of Alabama offers the prime location to set up shop for the movie business. He says artificial intelligence technology could keep expensive work like animation and visual effects local.
We had to go to another foreign country and give them millions of dollars. Instead of that, we have the ability to create all of that using qualified people of colors.
Inspired by the legacy of the Chitlin Circuit, a network of venues across the South that helped launch the iconic careers of James Brown, Aretha Franklin, and B.B. King, Kemet Movie Works is on the verge of opening its doors and making way for a new era of trailblazers to take over the reimagined space.
We've signed an agreement, an MOU, that our students will have the opportunity to participate in learning about AI and AR.
Back in October, Williams and Miles College president Bobby Knight announced a partnership during the college's homecoming. For Knight, opening up the students to a world of possibilities is part of setting them up for success even after graduation, with internship opportunities exclusively for Miles students.
There are a lot of jobs right now that in 5 years won't be in existence because of AR and AI. And we want to make sure that our students are equipped with the tools they need to operate in that world.
Kemet Movie Works is working to be at the forefront of cutting-edge technology, with plans to use AI in small indie films or even major studio projects. The former military base offers 2 fully equipped state-of-the-art sound stages built for virtual production, computer-generated imagery, and immersive sets.
Most of the entities that are in the movie making business had to fear AI because of what that means. But fortunately, we were able to lean into instead of leaning against. And
right now, it's unclear how many jobs the studio will bring to the city of Anniston. But Williams says he and his team are doing what some studios are not, creating more opportunities for people in the business.
At the end of the day, it's making for better movies, better production. Everything is just better. So we're able to use it without cutting down the workforce. We're able to do it the other ways.
And that's creating excitement for longtime Anniston residents like Doretha Walker.
You saw what Tyler Perry did in Atlanta, so if we can have anything remotely like that here and bring in jobs, just to revitalize the economy will be great.
Walker hopes revitalizing the base will be an investment in Anniston. And Williams says it starts with an opportunity for up-and-coming diverse voices.
In conjunction with Miles College, it just gives us an opportunity to deal with the best and the brightest and to make sure that people that look like us are able to get these opportunities that previously were only available if you went to Hollywood itself.
In Anniston, Aaron Llewellyn, WBTM 13.
According to the Department of Veterans,
Welcome back and continuing the news. Grief gripped relatives and the Ochi High School family today after the tragic death of a 16-year-old student. The student died yesterday at the hands of another teenager from the school. Now, our reporter Kirk Wright was at the St. Anne-based school on Thursday and filed this report.
Anguish for the parents of Devonay Shearer. Both are struggling to accept that their child is dead. His stepmother laid out his uniform he wore to school yesterday, now stained with blood. Yesterday in class, during break time, another 10th grade student allegedly struck him in the head with a metal chair, leaving him unconscious. His stepmother went to see him in hospital.
When you went and saw him yesterday, what was his condition?
Not good. Not good at all. May I tell you, not good. Not good.
Hours later, Devani was pronounced dead. Reports are that the two boys had a confrontation on Tuesday in the town of Ochi, and it seemed that spilled over into yesterday's attack.
I would send him to the ATM machine, and he went to the one by Champion. And the guy saw him there, grabbed him and started to fight him. Devani defend himself. Because he might fight him over one girl that Devani no want. Because Devani no depend that.
Devani was a student at another high school in Hanover, but felt he needed a change.
When he attended class, he wasn't getting the work done because he said when he go to school, teacher is not there. teacher hasn't come to class or anything like that. So he was saying, Mommy, I want to go to Ochi High because I will get the best teaching there. And he came, and it was good for him.
Devon, his father, says he was encouraged by his son's progress at Orchard's High and that he was focused on helping his mother.
Well, everything I will. You just plan to want to make life help him and his sister, take him out of the gutter and bring him to life, and him to live like country part of life. You plan to when he get big and get left school, the first work he get, but try help him and his sister, bring them out to life.
Now, it's at this premises here on Tay Street in Buckfield where Devon spent many years living with his father and his stepmother. And while his death has dealt a serious blow to his school community, it's left a gaping hole here in the Buckfield community. Now, many of whom we spoke with about Devani described him as resourceful and a kind boy who loved to help.
Definitely. He was such a good child. One who would say, would never pass without good morning. If you see him 100 times, you get 100 good morning. Very manners of a child. Food from school to home.
The news of Devon's death caused panic and worry among parents who turned up at the school this morning.
It made my heart start beat so fast because knowing me have my child coming to the school is like, that's why I have to be here this morning, because even though I don't know the person who died, but my concern is very into what going on, because as I said, my daughter is here. I'm not want for their work or the woman here say, nothing do my daughter, nobody do my daughter. I try for one every day, tell her if you stay out a problem, no company, no friend, just focus on your schoolwork. Yeah.
The Minister of Education, Senator Dana Morris Dixon, and Member of Parliament promised help.
Anything you need in the coming months, because I know that you're not going to just see the manifestations of the trauma and the pain right away. It can be months down the road. So whatever
asked to take a drive around London in a car without a driver, or rather, no human driver. It was a car operated by Wave, a startup that's developing a new approach to autonomous driving.
Front seat's all yours.
All right.
Can I introduce Tipa? Tipa's going to be our safety operator today and monitor the system.
Supposedly the easiest job in the world.
Great, Bill. Where would you like to go?
Let's go get some fish and chips. Other self-driving technologies work only on specific map streets. Wave's technology operates more like a human driver would, learning how to drive in one city and then applying that knowledge to drive in new places. London is a very challenging place to drive, with lots of traffic, pedestrians, and cyclists. We put Wave's self-driving technology to the test.
The algorithm is now controlling the speed, the steering, the indication, the braking, everything about the car's driving. We're making decisions based on what we see. So it's not being told how to drive with a set of rules and a map, but it's interpreting its environment, understanding the context, and making the safest decisions to drive through here. And the beauty of that is that it can learn things that are more complex than you can hand engineer. If you have to tell the car how to behave in each and every situation that will exist, you're never going to cover them all.
I mean, this is the real world right here.
100%. I mean, look at the cyclist on the left.
Yeah.
See how we're slowing down behind it? We'll probably, when it opens up, overtake the cyclist, but we're choosing not to now. Okay, look, we do now.
Yeah, it gives him as much clearance as possible. That's great. All right, is this guy going backwards, forwards? Ooh. I'll give you credit for picking one of the most difficult situations I've seen in an autonomous car ever.
I mean, this is the most unstructured, wild, and complex environment.
Yeah, no, the humans are having a hard time. You can tell they're trying to make judgment calls.
I think this is the next big wave of technology, whether that's improving the enjoyment of vulnerable road users, whether that's decreasing the amount of traffic, improving safety, allowing more public transport, more shared mobility, more reliable mobility. I mean, the way we move around cities hasn't changed in 100 years. I hope you enjoyed riding the wave through.
No, that was fantastic.
Can't really see that the city is damaged. So people are still supporting, they're still hoping that this will lead to something good. But there are people who are living in the close proximity. I know people who said that their windows were shattered, that they didn't even know in that their neighborhood there were some bases, and it just hit them too close, and they are scared. And I think they need to be very, very careful about where they're hitting so they don't lose people's support.
Because there are those reports that schools and hospitals have been
That
hit.
is true.
Yeah. Tarani, thank you very much indeed. A really interesting update on the situation inside Iran. Well, let's get a view from elsewhere in the region. Israel has continued to be targeted through the night, and indeed this morning we've had pictures from Tel Aviv of a building that was struck by one of the incoming missiles. Our Middle East correspondent Yolan Nell is in Jerusalem.
People in Tel Aviv had to rush to their air raid shelters with warning sirens for an incoming Iranian missile. Also reports of sirens in the north of the country as well, due to incoming fire from Lebanon, from Hezbollah. But no reports of any injuries at this stage. This, as we're receiving these reports from Tehran of very heavy bombing overnight. Some residents telling the BBC it was the heaviest bombing they've experienced since Saturday in the Iranian capital. Several different locations affected, and also other Iranian cities. This after Israel and the US both said that they were intensifying their bombing campaign in Iran. The Israeli military chief of staff gave a briefing last night and talked about how in the initial stage, after what he said were the surprise attacks, there had been an attempt by the Israelis and the Americans that he said was successful to achieve what he's calling air superiority in the skies over Iran, saying it was very much missile stores and missile launchers that had really been targeted in Iran. And now moving into the next stage, he said that that was all about dismantling regime infrastructure. That's how he put it. Now, despite the fact that the Israelis have said that they have really been attacking the missile launch sites in Iran, that they are seeing a decline in missiles being launched from there. You know, in the course of yesterday, people in Israel were sent rushing to their air raid shelters multiple times. There was then a kind of long period overnight where we didn't see that incoming rocket fire. But the Israelis saying that they sent their 14th wave of strikes on Iran overnight. So you can get an idea there of the intensity. But when it comes to Lebanon, they're talking about how in that southern suburb of Beirut, Dahia, they have carried out 26 waves of strikes there already. And they're talking about how there have been 115 targets hit in the past 24 hours. A military source saying it's really residential buildings which have been used, they said, by Hezbollah as headquarters and command centers that are among those locations that have been hit, saying that since the start of operations in Lebanon, more than 500 targets that they're saying are associated with Hezbollah have been attacked.
Yeah, we'll try and get an update from Beirut a little later. Just on the incoming missiles, it's interesting what you say about the pace of the attacks. And one missile in particular fascinated a lot of people on social media last night. It shows the range of ballistic missiles the Iranians have. It's this one that splits into various other warheads. What are the IDF saying about that?
I did get a confirmation earlier that this was a cluster warhead that was used with these small bomblets coming off it. And that, of course, really causes a lot of alarm among Israelis who are worried about these sorts of missiles being used, because they can spread over a wide area if those are not intercepted very quickly by Israeli air defenses. Of course, that has potential to cause a lot of damage, a lot of casualties over a wide area. We're not hearing about that on this occasion, but that really caught people's attention. That was the last of the missiles that was launched towards Israel late yesterday. And so those pictures were very dramatic that people, caught even on their mobile phones, showing those bomblets lighting up the night sky.
That's Yilan Nell in Jerusalem. The Pentagon says they have struck missile launchers and have dramatically reduced the ability of the Iranians to target Gulf countries. But as I mentioned, they keep on coming. From Doha, our correspondent Barbara Plett-Usher borders the latest.
We did have quite an active night in the Gulf. Here in Qatar, I was awakened with one of those mobile phone alerts, and afterwards the Qataris said that they had intercepted a drone strike aimed at Al Udeid military base, which is the Americans' largest military base in the region. In Kuwait, there was another barrage of missiles and drones, and there the U.S. Embassy announced it was closing operations and evacuating its staff because the Iranians are targeting diplomatic missions. In Bahrain, they said that one hotel and 2 residential buildings had been hit in strikes, damaged, but nobody killed. So the Saudis also intercepting some missiles as well. So the Iranians are able to keep up regular barrages of missile and drone strikes, even if they may not be as intense as they were in the opening days.
Are they saying anything more about the help that they're being offered by Ukraine?
I have not seen anything publicly about the help that Ukraine is offering. It's interesting to make the comparison. I think the president in Ukraine noted, for example, that the Patriot missiles fired in this 1 week of war by the U.S. and its allies had exceeded those that they had been able to get to do 4 years of war. So there is that comparison. In terms of the assistance, I'm sure the Gulf states would be wanting to accept any assistance that could be offered. The Europeans have also said they would do that. Italy, for example, sending air defenses here to the Gulf. The UK sending 4 fighter jets to bolster its fleet here in Qatar, making the point that they are not joining the war effort, but they are seeking to help with the defense against the Iranian missiles and drones, and also to protect their citizens and their soldiers and their shipping routes and so on. Interestingly, in terms of the Gulf states and what their stance is and what action they can take, the Financial Times is reporting that some of them have begun to conduct an internal review of their current and future investment commitments in terms of how they're going to manage the strain on their budgets from this war, which could be quite consequential because they manage some of the largest and most active sovereign wealth funds, and also the Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and Qatar had promised to invest hundreds of billions of dollars in the United States after Mr. Trump visited the region. So there are all sorts of fallouts from this war, and several of them quite significantly here in the Gulf.
Barbara Pletasha there in Doha. I would just point you to the live page that is running on the BBC website, including the raids that are ongoing actually in areas around London, in Watford and Barnet. Searches ongoing at the residences of several Iranian British nationals who were arrested in the early hours of this morning. We understand from the anti-terror police here in London that they were focusing on the Jewish community. We'll try and bring you more news on that through the course of the morning. We'll take a short break. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News. Just an update in the last hour from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, the FCDO here in the UK, warning people in Cyprus and elsewhere in the Middle East that there is a high threat of terrorist attacks globally affecting UK interests and British nationals. They're advising people to be alert to that threat. Interesting that the head of MI6 is in Cyprus today to meet the Cypriot president. That sort of echoes what is going on here in London, because in the early hours of the morning, as I just mentioned, 4 men were arrested on suspicion of spying on locations and individuals linked to the Jewish community. Our reporter Yunus Muller has more.
Police say these arrests were made as part of a counter-terrorism policing investigation and were made at around 1 o'clock this morning. Searches of a number of properties are still taking place, including properties in Barnet and in Wembley. Let's have a look at those arrests. A 40-year-old and a 55-year-old were arrested in Barnet, a 52-year-old in Watford and a 22-year-old in Harrow. And what we've been told is that the investigation itself relates to the suspected surveillance of locations and individuals in Jewish communities in London. Now, the men were detained under the National Security Act, which was introduced back in 2023 to modernize counter-spying laws and also to combat foreign interference. We're told that also as part of this investigation, 6 other men have also been arrested, aged between 20 and 49. They were arrested on suspicion of assisting an offender. They remain in custody as well. Now, the head of counter-terrorism policing in London has said that there's been a long-running investigation as part of ongoing work to disrupt what they call malign activity that they may suspect. Now, we they say they understand the public will be concerned with such an operation, particularly members of the Jewish community. And what they're saying is to stay vigilant and to contact them if anyone is concerned. We've had some political reaction this morning as well. David Lammy, who was doing his round of interviews this morning, has described Iran as the biggest state sponsor of terrorism. He's also spoken of how a number of other operations have been thwarted as well. And the Community Security Trust, which is a charity which represents Jewish communities and provides security around synagogues and Jewish areas, has said that the community security is strong across the Jewish community. And as I say, all 10 men remain in custody.
Yeah, it is just worth pointing to that statement from the head of MI5, Sir Ken McCullum, back in October, who said there have been more than 20 potential lethal Iranian-backed plots across the UK in a single year. So that risk has been increasing, Yunus, for some time.
That risk, well, we know of a number of threats that have been thwarted as David Lammy himself has said this morning. And so there has been this threat on Jewish communities across the UK, not only just in London, but here in Greater Manchester as well, where I'm speaking from currently. So as counter-terrorism policing in London have said today, this has been a long-running investigation. It's part of ongoing work. This appears to be a pre-planned operation, and that's why they're saying that they will try and disrupt any malign activity where they suspect it's taking place, and that's what they say they have done this morning. Now, of course, as I've already said, this will raise concerns because this Jewish community are concerned about their security at the moment. But they're being told to remain vigilant. And of course, any concerns need to be reported to police forces.
Yunus Muller there talking about the increased threat from Iranian interests here in the UK. Well, let's bring in the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, who is out on a visit this morning in Stockport. It's good to have you with us on the programme. You've said this week that Keir Starmer is catching arrows, not stopping the archer. How would your proposal differ from his?
So what I think we should be doing is keeping our bases and our service personnel safe by getting at the missile launch sites. That's where it's starting. That's how you really stop the archer. That's how you degrade the capability.
So you would have the
Keir
RAF
Starmer has said
bomb.
he only wants to take defensive action.
You would have the RAF bomb missile launchers inside Iran.
Well, if all you're doing is catching arrows, eventually you will get hit. I'm thinking about the servicemen and women, their families. I don't want them to get hit. Simply trying to stop the drones and missiles is not enough. Let's remember, we have put our bases in other people's countries, and they are telling us that we're not doing enough. We should be doing more. Cyprus has said that. Bahrain has said that. Some of them are actually quite shocked at the slowness of the government. We need to do more.
How would that make British service personnel safer? Because your critics would say it's a guarantee that we are cemented into a conflict from which there is no known exit.
What I would say to them is that I'm afraid we are already in this war, whether we like it or not. Other countries are also being dragged in by Azerbaijan. It's everyone against Iran. Let's not forget that Iran, even now, is carrying out surveillance on Jewish communities in our country. They call us Little Satan. They want to harm us, and they will do everything they can in order to do so. Simply looking away or doing the barest minimum sends the wrong signal and does not help our allies whose countries we put bases in, like Bahrain, like Cyprus. Even the Canadians and Australians are wondering what we're doing. The French are doing more.
That may be.
Greece is doing more.
That may
How
be.
can we...
That may
How
be
can
the case,
we,
but
at
you're
this point,
seriously
say,
out of step
well, we
here.
don't want to do anything?
You're seriously out of step here with public opinion.
I
According to a
disagree.
YouGov poll, 49%, 49% of British people were opposed to US bombing, and you're calling for Britain to join it.
Well, I think that people, when they understand the situation, change their answer. What people were against was us joining the initial strikes. We were not in that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about defending our army, defending bases which we have put in other people's countries. If we are telling people that we're going to put a base in your country, but if stuff goes wrong, we're not going to do everything we can to protect them, I think that we're not going to be finding people cooperating with us anymore.
But
we need to give
realistically,
the public
how much
the
can
real
we...
information about what is going on.
I'm sorry, there's a slight delay on the line, but realistically, how much are we really able to lend to this campaign? Because successive Conservative governments have hollowed out the military. It is in such a parlous state that really we'd only be playing a bit part role.
I'm afraid military spending went down every year from 1989 until 2022 when I got into cabinet. And that was because we thought the world was going to be peaceful and safe. We are now living in a different era. That's why today I am at KNDS, it's a defense company. I'm talking about our announcement to increase defense funding, telling up people where we'll get it from, the two-child benefit cap. The government is spending money on welfare when it should be spending it on defense. I am trying to work with them to get to a better place. They don't want to think about it. They just want to spend more welfare.
Right.
We can
Just
try
on that-
and
on
build
that
a time
policy.
machine to go back into the past. I want to talk about the future. What are we going to do to make sure that we can ensure that our army is stronger than it is now?
Right, but there'll be a lot of people in Britain certainly would engage with the debate to put more money into defence. You say there that you would scrap the two-child cap. That would bring in about £3.2 billion by 2030. If you're taking us into a war with Iran, that's a sticking plaster. Where's the rest of the money coming from?
Well, in December, I announced the Sovereign Defence Fund, which would get up to 50 billion if done properly, changing the government's priorities from net zero into defence, supporting our defence businesses. That's another 50 billion. All of these things are a down payment to get to 3%. The fact is, I'm explaining where I'm finding the money from. The government doesn't know where it's getting any money from. They should have put out a defence investment plan last year. It is now March. We are still waiting. That was in June last year when they said they were going to put out that plan. They keep telling us they're going to do things and they're not doing them. I believe that we have a government that was not prepared for the international situation we have right now. They came in to put in more welfare and do breakfast clubs, and they are absolutely terrified about what's happening.
There's
Their
no doubt
instincts are to pretend that there's nothing they can do. I don't think that that is good enough. They need to get a grip and stop dithering.
There's no doubt for a lot of people this is embarrassing that we have 6 Type 45 frigates that are all in dock, all being repaired, and we're not going to get HMS Dragon to the region, to the Mediterranean for weeks, we're told. Why is it beyond the wit of the British Parliament to find a bipartisan commission to fund and defend the country? I mean, you throw barbs at one another, as you're doing this morning. We don't seem to have any ideas. We don't have any.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Could you explain to me, how do you think the Iranian military strategy is now playing out?
It's working quite well. Iran is hammering the Israeli regime in retaliation for its atrocities and its unprovoked war. And it's hammering U.S. positions across the Persian Gulf region for its atrocities and the unprovoked war. And there's been no let-up in Iranian responses. And that is because Iranian missile and drone bases are all deep underground and inaccessible to the United States and the Israeli regime. And that's why they take revenge on ordinary Iranians. They've been bombing Tehran and other cities, destroying homes, destroying hospitals, destroying schools, slaughtering children. In one instance, they murdered 165 girls, young girls, at an elementary school. They've been buried today. So since they cannot defeat the Iranian military, they take their revenge on ordinary Iranians.
It's clearly causing chaos in the Gulf states, particularly with the attacks on energy facilities. Is that part of the Iranian strategy to wage economic war as well?
No, Iran has not taken any responsibility for the strikes on the energy facilities, for example, in Saudi Arabia. That could be something carried out by the Israeli regime. But the Iranians have told tankers that they are not allowed to leave the Strait of Hormuz. And when these Arab regimes in the Persian Gulf, when they give the United States military bases to use against Iran, then there are consequences. They cannot have their cake and eat it too. They cannot participate in aggression against Iran alongside this Epstein coalition and then sit back and say we're neutral.
Right, but you're not denying the other attacks, are you, in other Gulf countries which do affect energy supplies, and the oil price has gone up significantly. So I mean, that does seem to be part of the Iranian military strategy, isn't it? I mean, to try and bring them into the war and regionalize it.
No, Iran has been targeting U.S. assets in the Persian Gulf, and those assets could be anything that's linked to the United States. The United States is bombing hospitals. The United States is bombing schools. The United States is bombing Iranian national radio and television alongside the Israeli regime. So U.S. assets in the Persian Gulf, they too will be attacked. But assets that belong to the states in the Persian Gulf region, they have not been touched by the Iranians. However, if they host U.S. forces, because many of the soldiers have left their bases and been taken to hotels, the Iranians will target them. So at the end of the day, if they want this problem to end, they have to expel soldiers of the Epstein regime.
Now, we understand that the Assembly of Experts is trying to appoint a new supreme leader. Could a new leader, do you think, negotiate with Trump and agree to his terms?
No. Iran is not interested in negotiating with Trump or the US regime. Iran is going to punish the United States, and we are in the process of doing it. This regime in Washington has tried to cross a bridge that's a bridge too far, and they're messing with the wrong country. We're not Venezuela, we're not Iraq, we're not Libya, we're not Afghanistan, and we're not Syria. This is the Islamic Republic of Iran, and we will make sure that the United States regrets the aggression against the Iranian people and the slaughter of children and the slaughter of innocent civilians and the murder of the leader. These are crimes against humanity, and the United States and its allies have imposed the law of the jungle upon the world, and they will come to regret it.
But Iran is not a military superpower either, and we're seeing the vast majority of drones and missiles being shot down by air defenses. I mean, you know, surely Iran cannot win a military war and therefore has to go for some other kind of strategy in coming to a settlement.
Iran will defeat the United States. Time will tell. And our drones that are being fired are very old drones. Our missiles that are being fired are very old missiles. They're very inexpensive. And Americans are using up very expensive air defense systems. The Iranians know exactly what they're doing. We haven't even begun using our latest technology, and most of Iran's underground bases have not even been used yet. They have not even been opened up for operation. Iranians have been planning for this day ever since the invasion of Iraq. They knew that at some point the Epstein regime will go after Iranians, and therefore they've been preparing themselves for many years. We are fighting for our homeland and our sovereignty and our independence, and our crime is that we oppose the genocide that the British regime and the American regime and Western regimes have been supporting. And we are on the right side of history, and the United States is the aggressor, and we will punish the aggressor and make it regret its crimes against humanity.
What percentage of Iran's missile stocks remain?
The vast majority.
There's a lot of work that goes into making a podcast. The setup is one thing, then you've still got to edit. This is where Riverside comes in. Riverside helps with the entire process of making a podcast, from recording to edit, and even generating clips automatically from your podcast to share on socials. Thanks to local recording.
Because after last year's war, it was estimated that Iran had used up around 40% of its missiles. Are you saying that was replenished in the last few months?
Those numbers were always fake. Those numbers are provided by the Israeli regime to the media in order to convince foolish Americans that war against Iran is simple. This war was supposed to end in a day or two. The 12-day war was supposed to bring Iran down like a house of cards. That failed, this failed, and now the United States will have to pay the price. And if the United States escalates, that will mean that the most sensitive region in the world, the Persian Gulf, where a quarter of the world's energy comes from, everything could be destroyed. And if that happens, it doesn't even matter if the Strait of Hormuz is open or closed, because there will be no oil or gas, and there will be no tankers. For Iran, this is a fight for survival. For the United States, this is a war of choice, a choice that has been imposed upon the American people by the Epstein class. We will expel the United States from our homeland, and we'll make sure that the United States never again thinks about aggression against our country. And we will not allow the Israeli regime to behave with impunity and to continue genocide against the Palestinian people.
Isn't the truth, though, that a lot of Iranian people want to see this government toppled? We saw tens of thousands taking to the streets just weeks ago, and many thousands of people were killed by the security forces. So public opinion is divided on this.
Don't believe your propaganda. That's silly.
Well,
I've already had an interview. I've already spoken with your colleague. Though the people who were killed, 3,117 people were killed. Hundreds were police officers and people who were patrolling the streets as volunteers, and hundreds of others were ordinary people that were murdered by these militants and these terrorists who were using weapons to kill. In your country, if they kill a single police officer, there'll be outrage. Here, they killed hundreds, including the volunteers. So this was no peaceful protest. And you know quite well, because I know you follow these things. In Iran, on February the 12th, we had millions of people on the streets of Tehran and tens of millions across the country rallying against the rioters. And on February the 11th, on the 47th anniversary of the revolution, we had millions of people again on the streets of Tehran and tens of millions across the country. And as we're speaking across the country, as we're speaking now, you have millions of people in the streets of Tehran under bombardment, and in other cities under bombardment, commemorating the martyr Ayatollah Khamenei. So you can pretend all you want that Iranians want their country to be bombed. But at the end of the day, your policymakers, by believing their own propaganda, are going to hit their head once again against a brick wall. But this time, the price will be very high, and I think it will bring about a change in global politics.
I'm not denying that huge numbers of people have come out in support of the government, but from your own account of the way people have been killed and were fighting in the streets effectively, you know, the country is clearly divided to some degree, and there are many people who do not support the government. And but I wonder, you know, often in wartime, public opinion changes, and the acts of an outside aggressor can change public opinion. And I just wonder whether you think that might happen in Iran.
No, the strong majority of Iranians, even according to polls taken by the University of Maryland, for example, in the past, I don't know if they still carry out polls, but it shows that the strong majority of Iranians support the Constitution. And now that the United States is murdering Iranians, many of those youngsters who are on the streets, who believe the fake Western narratives about human rights and dignity and freedom, are watching children being slaughtered, and Western media is ignoring it, and Western governments are not even apologizing for it. And the British and the German regime, the German chancellor says there must be a regime change in Iran. The German chancellor must first apologize to the people of Iran for giving Saddam Hussein chemical weapons to use against us. that killed so many thousands of people, the German regime has no credibility and is in no position to talk about Iran. And the divisions that exist right now in your country and the United States are far greater than the divisions that exist in Iran. The people of Iran are united, and we will see that the United States will fail, and the United States will pay a heavy price. And ultimately, the emperor, people will see that the emperor has no clothes. The United States bullies country after country. It strangles Cuba. It takes the people of Venezuela hostage. It imposes al-Qaeda rule on the people of Syria. Iran was a bridge too far. Iran will show the Americans that they're messing with the wrong country.
What about the competence, though, of your security apparatus? I mean, after the killing of the Ayatollah with so many senior figures, we have now seen that, again, the clerics have met in the Assembly of Experts building in Qom, and that has also been bombed. I mean, does it not strike you as very odd that senior Iranian figures are still meeting in known places where they can be targeted?
No, no one was in that building. Why do you believe this nonsense? And senior military figures, except for in the office of the leader, a number of people who were killed, no one else was killed. And Ayatollah Khamenei said that I'm going to remain in my house because many people who are struggling cannot leave their homes. And I will stay here till the end because of these people. And he stayed and he was martyred. That's not something that your leader would ever do. But in any case, we are seeing the Iranian armed forces effectively pushing back against the sinister superpower of our time and against this genocidal Zionist regime that continues to slaughter people in Gaza, in Palestine, and in Lebanon. Simultaneously, they're waging a war, and Iran is pushing them back. At the same time, we see that the government, despite the maximum pressure sanctions, we see that people have food, that there are no queues. So that is pretty significant, I must say. And your government, which has no sanctions and has no war, the regime in London is not proving to be very efficient nor very popular.
Just finally, I mean, the United States president and the Israeli prime minister killed the Iranian supreme leader. Will it now be the aim of the Iranian military and all its networks around the world to take their revenge on those individuals?
What the United States did was a crime against humanity. What it is doing is a crime against humanity. We have no expectations from the West, nor the Western media. Western elites for us are a bunch of worthless barbarians. Iranians will protect themselves. I do not know what Iran will do or its allies will do across the world, but the entire world is sick and tired of the way in which the United States and its proxies in Europe behave. It's a rogue regime. As we speak, they are strangling the people of Cuba. They're preventing food from getting in. I don't see any outrage in the Western media. Why? Because the Western media is just as worthless as Western elites.
We'll leave it there. Mohammed Marandi, thank you very much indeed.